Give thanks and praise. Welcome back, dissidents. Much love and respect. We have a few odds and ends to cover and discuss before I proceed with the Enneagram project. A couple loose ends from my last video. I talked about how I believe that the 4-season calendar with the 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes is a Catholic overlay, a capturing of the pagan calendar, the pre-Catholic calendar, which was 3 seasons. This is the 3 locked into the 4. And I believe that there are certain orders that still venerate the 3-season calendar covertly on the down low. And there's a lot of value to that. So this 3 to the 4 is a very important code. It's a very important code, and I'm going to try to prove that out here today before we move forward. So the 3-season calendar, it represents the trivium. The 4-season calendar is the quadrivium. These are the building blocks of logos. When you build them together, you get a house. And isn't it quite fascinating that Christ was a carpenter? He builds a house. When you take the symbols of the old way and overlap them onto the new standards, you get a house. Christ was a carpenter. Pretty nifty stuff, the trivium and the quadrivium there. Now, I want to take it a little further. I want to extract even more code from this valuable gem of gnosis, this lovely layering of logos. And I want to talk about this 4 to the 3. 4 to the 3. This is the D and the C. Washington, D.C. They were Masons. They were all about this quadrivium and the trivium. And they were all about building Pythagorean structures and utilizing geography and ley lines for sacred alignments and venerating sacred numerology. And all of those hubristic attachments to the Pythagorean secret societies, I want to point out ultimately that they are very anti-Christian for that mentality. It's something to think about. It's just something to think about. A lot of people, I have friends who believe that the founders of this country had a Christian mentality, when in fact I think they had quite an anti-Christian mentality. I think they had a strong affiliation to the Catholic agenda and to the Jesuit order. So I want to take it a little further, and then I'll bring it back to why so much of this logos and encoding in all these secret societies and hidden oaths and allegiances to the undisclosed why it's anti-Christian. So, first, I want to point out that the D is the diameter of a circle. Take your circle, there's your diameter. It's very Saturnian. It's a very Saturnian symbol. Has a lot to do with the theta, globe theta, the globe theta. But not only is this diameter of the circle a very strong aspect of the D, but the C is the circumference. That is the circle, the diameter of the circle. Washington, D.C., the quadrivium and the trivium encode the diameter and the circumference, the D of the C. Now look very closely at the shape I've made here. You see that in this circle, I have utilized these two simple ingredients, these two simple letters, and their profound implications of the building blocks of logic to reveal that the D and the C are encoded in the circle there. And now I'm going to pull out a few more interesting ingredients. I'm going to erase this little aspect here, and you'll see that we're looking at a D, an E. We have a C, we have a O, we have a D, and we have an E. And it is all encapsulated in one simple expression reveals a code hidden within the D to the C. And now I'm going to have a little bit of fun with these letters using septenary. Up here I have my septenary, which I've actually flipped around a little. People who are into gematria will realize that I've taken just the slightest liberty of unfolding the septenary cipher in a bit of an inversion here on the bottom row, just to stimulate ideas. But watch what happens. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In septenary, DC reveals a code, and it's the numbers 1 through 5. We found the hidden hand. Whole lot of fun going on with that one. Whole lot of fun. But I just thought I would bring this forward, and it is actually quite timely that I would be drawn to this revelation, because we are going through a time of the year right now where there is another code in the D and the C. And that code involves Pisces, another symbol of the Christ. Pisces is circumference, diameter. This is the Piscean symbol. And anybody who knows how to read a waxing and waning moon, you know that when the moon takes on this shape, it is increasing. When it looks like a D, it's on the increase. It's an inversion. It's a flip. When it looks like a C, it is actually decreasing. There's a flip-flop. There's a switcheroo. There's a mirror clue. It's a mirror clue that we can decode these signs and symbols. And right now, this time of year in September, the full moon will be a Piscean full moon. And what I have been seeing for a couple months now is a ton of encoding of the gospel where Christ predicts the 153 fish. 153, that is a A-R-K in septenary. Check my work here. Where's the R? Yep. 1, 5, and 3. 153. 153 fish were predicted by Jesus. This is the ark. This is the 17th triangular number. It's a very, very important numerical code. I talked about this briefly, I think on my channel and others, but in ordinal reduced, 153 is the S-E-L. This is the social emotional learning that they're about to implement into the children's schooling experience if we don't do something about it. And it's not going to turn out well, I'm telling you right now, because that is the 153 fish, shellfish. They are on a fishing expedition. They consider themselves the fishers of men. This is not a good thing to support. In fact, it is very, very important that we resist this at all costs. I'm here to tell you it is really not a good thing. Now, very quickly, I want to talk just briefly about why this is anti-Christian, why this is all this layers of cryptographic gnosis, why it is a bad thing. First of all, the fact that it is hidden. The fact that in order to acquire access to the information, one must give oneself up to a higher authority, to an externalized hierarchy, to a secret society, a secret school, all the things secretive. You know, just the fact that they are using a CODE, a code whatsoever, is indicating that there is very likely a lot more that is not being disclosed. You know, there's revelation of the method basically just tells you that these fools got more to hide. They've got very good reason to hide, and it might go back to the conversos. It probably goes back to the Crusades and the conversos, but I believe it has been co-opted a long time ago. And what my point is here is that the original Gnostics did not believe you needed a mediator. They did not believe that you needed the establishment. They did not believe that you needed buildings and statutes and legality to know what is right and wrong. That the true connection to Christ-like living is a one-on-one relationship. There is no school teacher, no schoolmaster. You don't need me. You don't need YouTube. You don't need any of these things. You know what's right and wrong. You know what's right and wrong. You were born with that. That is your superpower. Knowing right from wrong is intrinsic. It's in our DNA. It's in our genes. Most of us. I should maybe point out that there is a certain percentage of the population that are psychopaths, and a lot of what I just said probably goes over their head. But for those of you who are not psychopaths, you get it. You're on the same page as me. We don't need this construct. We don't need this control of the of our perception of reality, leap years and what have you. So I'm going to step away from the septenary ingredients here. We're actually going to take a little stroll through ordinal reduced gematria. This is the one I prefer personally. Septenary is all good. I just have my reasons for, I guess for the record, I've said it before elsewhere, but I see septenary gematria as more cryptographic, more to hide, it requires a sacrifice, as there is no 8 or 9 in the septenary cipher. So there is a sacrificial element to using the 7 count cipher. It does have beautiful symmetry. It has a lot of good things going for it. However, I like the freedom and the full completion of using ordinal gematria, ordinal and ordinal reduced gematria, as it has much more application, two-way application, where, yeah, it has much more flexibility, much more, I see it more often, more easily. It's more simplistic. But I keep all 3 in mind: ordinal, ordinal reduced, and septenary. So another fun little code that I discovered using the ordinal reduced gematria is, first of all, I guess I should point out that the word, I learned this week that the word abraxas is, encodes the 365-day year. And that is quite amazing. It's quite amazing. Made me think of AB. This is it's encodes 365 in Greek. I'm not going to bring that forward. Maybe I'll flash it on the screen, maybe not. But AB is 1, 2, the 12-month year, and R equals 9. So in a very interesting way, Abraxas also encodes the what we just got done talking about with the equinox and solstice juxtaposed against the yod of the 3-month year. So I find that quite interesting, that ABR of Abraxas also encodes the Christ on the cross. You could almost say it's the 12-9 axis. Where are we? Axis. Fused together, spinning on the axis, where the X is on the analemma. Something to think about. There's a lot more going on there. Always a lot more going on. Not enough time in a day, I tell you what. So yeah, Abraxas encodes 365, which is quite fascinating to me, because it turns out in the Old Testament, in Genesis, also in Enoch, they observed a 364-day calendar, because it's divisible by 2, and I believe, I might be messing this up, but I think 364.5 is also a valid measure of the annual progression. And so that stands out to me, that Abraxas in Greek is 365, because in ordinal reduced, we will see L is a 3, O is a 6, V is a 4, E is the 5. Same thing with the word code. Love, code are the same sequence of numbers in ordinal reduced. I find that just lovely, absolutely lovely. And now, while we're having fun and dealing with things that are lovely, cardinal, fixed, and mutable. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. 364. So what I think I'm getting at is that these numbers are supercharged by people's belief and utilization of the systems. So the more, I believe it was the public relations guy for the Beatles, the PR. PR 79. Public relations 79 is gold. The PR fella of the Beatles, their publicist, so to say, he is quoted as saying that the most difficult ingredient to every magical spell is getting a large enough audience to charge the spell. So imagine that maxim of magical systems and the power that 365 gives to the Abraxas, and the power that 364.5 gives to everyone who uses love, everyone who knows that there is a code, you know, your area code. You know, we obey love, we obey codes, and they both spell the same thing mathematically. It's pretty far out, pretty profound stuff. The cardinal fixed mutable kind of just blows my mind that all these things go back to the, these are BC. Oh my God, here we go. I am going to go all day, aren't I? These are before Christ. They're in the Genesis. They're in the first half of the Bible. It's 23 and me. 23. All right. Stepping away. All right. I'm going to get back into the Enneagram. We're going to cover actually, you know what? I am going to have to flash some graphics on the screen. One last thing I want to share while we're doing gematria and codes. I discovered today that the word Washington, back on the DC here, I'm on a knee. Washington, I'll flash this graphic, equals Pythagoras equals vaccinations equals superb Lord. Pythagoras is the granddaddy of all secret societies. And the fact that they named Washington a word that equals Pythagoras in 3 different ciphers. I actually should check the other ciphers. I just was looking at my main primary ciphers. It might be a match in many others as well. But Washington equals Pythagoras equals vaccinations equals Supreme Lord. Not a coincidence. They have a real hard-on for Pythagoras. And anybody who can show affiliation to the Pythagoreans, they are number worshippers. They worship numbers. And this brings us to the CV19. A lot of people know this. It's no secret. That is the 322 artificial intelligence. You know, and when Ajax died in the Odyssey, Ajax died and a leaf sprouted up with the letters AI. Those were Ajax, his initials. And those initials spelled in Greek, whoa. Whoa. Woe is me. Why did I join the fucking secret society of 322 Skull and Bones? Those fuckers are going to get theirs, I tell you what. Those fuckers are going to get theirs. So yeah, I'll share that graphic. It's pretty compelling, pretty interesting. You know, go ahead, get a screenshot, pass the word. Vaccinations are all venerating these number worshippers, the matematikoi. Funny thing about the matematikoi is they were used as human shields. They were the exterior ring of his secret order. When the temple was burning down, Pythagoras took his acolytes, his little minion math worshippers, and he was stuck in the temple, and there was a fire. I want to draw this out. He was stuck in the temple. There was a fire. He needed to get across the fire to survive, to escape. And his little matematikoi dumbasses, they threw their bodies on the fire so he could walk across their corpses. It's so silly. It's so silly. But that is the level of mind control that they've been using all the way since back then. And they're using it today. And that's why they got dumbasses taking those vaccinations, thinking that they're, that's how they got to put themselves in harm's way for some sort of fucking bozo sticker. Anyway, all right, I'm stepping away from all the code. Getting back into the Enneagram, I want to do just a quick run through on all of the dual nature of each number on this cipher, on this Enneagram cipher. And so each number, each numeric placement has two personality potentials. And it is not exclusive to the words that I have chosen to put in those stations. You can actually come up with 5 or 6 words for an individual. You can come up with 5 to 6, 8, 10, 12 different words for an achiever. There are many, many other synonyms that can fit into the same station to refer to this personality type. So that's something that I really like about the Enneagram, is that it has a lot of versatility. It's not dogmatic. One thing that you will recognize right away is that the 7 deadly sins are pretty standardized. They are more publicly known. They are not as subtle. They are much more overt. So the 7 deadly sins actually had 2 more sins added to the list. And I'll try to bring forward some of the receipts on where the extra 2 sins have came from. So I'm going to run through the aspects of order in green, or in blue. I'm going to use order to relay the positive attributes of each station or personality type. So the blue is the ascended, or the loving, the integrated personality aspect, and red will be the chaotic, the disintegrated, the strife, the aspect of when that personality or that trait becomes challenged or is struggling. So first, the order. Number 9 is a peacemaker. They are also sometimes referred to as balanced. Let's see, I'm going to bring my cheat sheet in here. They are sometimes attributed with having acceptance, openness. They are good mediators. Number 1 is perfection. They have rationality, they have high standards, high ethics, and excellence. Number 1s. Number 1s are amazing, and we should love them. We need them. A lot of times, 1s get a lot of resentment from all the other numbers because they are such achievers. Number 2 is the giver. Givers have empathy, they have altruism, and they have a lot of availability. Givers have a hard time saying no. And then you have the number 3 is the achiever. The achiever has has self-esteem. They have a lot of self-development. They are often working on self-improvement in a beautiful way. Number 4 is the individual. The individual has self-awareness, original identity, and creativity. I personally relate to the individuals to a very large degree. Number 5 is the observer. The observer has original thought, And it says extent of view, but I'm not sure what that means. But original thought does make sense. The observer, that they can see through other people's eyes, maybe you could say. Number 6 is the loyalist. The loyalist has group identification and strong tendency for affiliations. You know, the loyalist loves to wear their favorite football jersey or whatever, their favorite team sport or brand name logos. They really love to be associated with something larger than themselves. A lot of groupthink goes on in the loyalists. Number 7 is the enthusiast here. The enthusiast has spontaneity and diversity of activity. They like to change things up a lot, often. You'll probably sense that with that number 7 being an element of change. Number 8 is the leader. They have self-assertiveness and powerful leadership qualities. So those are the positive ascended aspects of these stations. And now, very quickly, I don't think I need to dwell too much on the chaotic, the strife components here in red of each station. They're pretty self-explanatory. We're all very familiar with all of these ingredients in our lives. So the shadow side of the peacemaker is slothful, can be lazy or lackadaisical, disconnected, uncaring. The shadow aspect of the number 1 perfectionist is wrathful. They become angry. I know this feeling quite well myself, as something I have learned is that when a person has anger or is wrathful, it is a demand for something better. And I love having that understanding of the emotion, because oftentimes a person who is angry is misconstrued as being hateful. And it is not hateful to have anger. That is not the same feeling. They look the same to the uneducated eye. But to be angry is merely to demand something better, to really crave a perfection. To have an ideal that is not being met can bring great wrath. I think that is super important, that we get that message out there, that anger is not hate. Anger is a demand for something better. That is a really, really valuable lesson. I could do a whole video just on that. But moving on, the shadow aspect of number 2, the giver, the shadow is pride. They are prideful. I can relate some of this, as the giver oftentimes is giving to such an extent that they will sometimes give that which is not even appreciated or wanted. Because when there is a non-reciprocal relationship, and that which they are giving is not being met with equal value, it breaks their pride. It hurts their pride. It's a very, very powerful relationship in there. The achiever, their shadow can be deceit. The individual, their shadow can be envy. They can be envious. And the observer, their shadow aspect is greed. The loyalist, their shadow aspect is fear. Something that is very concerning is in the Enneagram community, it is reported that up to 50% of the world's population is a number 6. 50% of the world's population are 6s. That means that those who presume to control and influence the world and events on the globalist stage, all they need, the most simple thing they need, is fear to control half of the global population. And meanwhile, the remaining 50% of the population is watered down. is spread out amongst the remaining 8 stations. So the other 50% of the world is broken up, divided by 8 different stations, which makes it very hard for those who do not have fear to have any sway in a democratic system. If 50% is already triggered by fearful tactics, then the other 50%, the other half of the potential majority, have to come to terms with the remaining 8 stations of the Enneagram. And this is the secret to how democracy has controlled the collective for a very long time. And that is just scratching the surface on the facts around this number 6. And if you are a number 6, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. But we're going to try to convert you. We need to convert the 6s to be more diversified, to come away from their loyalty to their affiliation to fear, because that is how so many people identify in this world. It is, it's concerning. It's very concerning. And they just ran a hypochondriac psyop of global proportions to feed these people exactly what they crave. It's really something to consider, that shadow of fear on the 6s. Bless your damn hearts. Moving on to the number 7s, the enthusiasts, their shadow aspect is glutton. And that is not just about food. A lot of people think of food. That also has to do with drugs and intoxicants. So that's something to consider, that ingredient. Number 8, the challenger, their shadow aspect is lust. You know, you could think of dominatrix, the people who are into domination, erotic domination scenarios. They definitely fall into this number 8 category. So that is a quick run through of the 1 through 9 on the Enneagram. And I've done this before. I'll put my links in the show notes from my previous work on the Enneagram, but I'm going to do some full review. I am going to repeat myself, because next I want to talk about integration and disintegration, where these lines begin to move in a direction. This flow, these relationships, you'll see what these lines actually mean on the interior aspect of the Enneagram, as they can go in one direction when they integrate, and then they will reverse. Their relationships go in the opposite direction when they disintegrate. And that is makes a powerful and beautiful distinction that is so important to grasp between the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7s, 8s and the 3, 6, 9s. Their relationships are absolutely mind-bogglingly perfect. And what I love about the Enneagram is that it is a codex for understanding truth of human nature. And if we don't harness this tool, then somebody else will be and probably already is harnessing it and using it against us. Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud, frickin' Netflix. Okay, everybody. Much love and respect. I hope you dig it. Shoot me some comments. I'll try to get some of those graphics in there. And, you know, also, I'm going to try to put a link in the show notes for my Telegram group. That's something I don't think I've ever done on my YouTube channel. That'll give people a little more access to, you know, my daily ponderings and wanderings, and you can tune into my channel a little deeper, see some of the crazy that I like to put up there, and, you know, reach out. Let me know what you think. All right, everybody. Strength and love.